Hey, everybody. We are now live to talk about this year's Born the King Advent resources. And I'll give you just a minute to catch on. Like it's just now 2 o'clock. So it always takes a minute for everybody to show up. So I'm going to hang out just for a second. I'm going to get my stuff together, make sure I have my affairs in order here. And then we will start talking about some exciting stuff coming up here really quickly because Advent's coming soon. My girls at my house are counting down the weekends until the Christmas season starts, just like I was doing recently with football season. So we'll give you just a minute. Okay. Let's start talking about it, and others can join, and we'll try to answer questions as we go if there are questions. And if you come back and you ask questions, you have to watch this later, and you ask some questions. We'll definitely jump back on with you. Okay, so Born the King is our Advent focus this year, and A Thrill of Hope was a lot of fun last year, and it went really well, and we got a lot of really good feedback from it, and that was cool. And it's cool to focus on something as a whole church. And then we did this whole church focus with For God So Loved during the Lenten season. And personally, so I'm a pastor, and personally at our church, there was great success in finding ways for the whole church to focus on the same things for several weeks together, even taking those things home with us and focusing on them on Sundays, and all age levels learning in their own ways, but learning the same things. It was really good, and we want to continue to offer some of those opportunities, and Born the King touches on that as well. So there is a devotional book for adults, for parents. That's not exactly what we're talking about today, but I wanted you to know that it's out there. And then there's also a book for kids, a storybook, and it looks just like this. And if you're using the new Eureka curriculum, super awesome. You may recognize some of the characters in this book because we're the characters who help us tell the stories in the Eureka curriculum are the characters who are helping us to tell these stories this Advent season. So you'll see Sir Neil and Nicky Knack and Kiwi and Pam. They'll all be back together telling us some Advent stories. And our Advent stories focus on the 4 themes, the 4 words of Advent: hope, love, joy, and peace. And everything we do each week is focused on each of those themes. And we've got some at-home elements and some at-church elements and some family worship elements. So let's talk about what those are, okay? Let's start with, well, like I said, we've got the book, and the book has a unique and silly, goofy story that represents the idea of hope and peace and love and joy. And if you do the children's ministry, the children's worship download, so there's a children's pastor's resource, right? And you can download this, and it has all of these pieces in it. And so you would see some pages that look sort of like this, and these are your sermon outlines. So if you're going to be teaching or preaching in kids worship that week, then you would have all of the necessary supplies and have kind of general guidelines for what we're preaching that week. And then you would also need the book because you're going to use the silly stories that we tell in this book each week. So in the download has the sermon outlines. It also has this handy dandy page right here that tells you how to use each piece, which we're going to talk about that today. But so you don't have to rewatch my face over and over. You can have that right there in the download and check with each piece. Okay, so in children's worship, you've got the books you've got the book that you'll use. You've got the sermon outlines that you'll use, and then you've also got songs we've written 4 songs that don't exist anywhere else in the world except for as a part of this curriculum. They're brand new and they're unique to this curriculum, each one focused on one of our themes for the week, or for the month of Advent: hope and love and joy and peace. Each one has its own song, and you'll get to participate with those songs each week. So that's what's happening in children's worship, and you get the songs and you get the outlines as a part of the download. Then if you do family worship at your church, or maybe you're like us and you do family worship during Advent where all ages are together, we've got something for that too. So we've got similarly, we've got guidelines for how to approach family worship and some things that kids can do during that family worship time, or whatever you call it, when all ages are together. That includes these. This looks like a really complex coloring page, but actually it's not. It's 4 separate bookmarks, and you'll use each one of these and be able to color each one of these. That's part of the family worship activities that are available to you as a part of the download, as well as a guideline for how to use those family worship activities. So looks like that and like that. That is a part of the downloadable resource. And then there are some at-home pieces, and we think this is really important. You know as well as I do that discipleship happens at home and throughout the week, not just for an hour and a half on Sunday morning, for an average of 2.3 times per month. And so this is pretty cool. So you'll download this. It doesn't look like this when you download it. It looks just like a piece of paper with cut lines on it. But when you cut them out and you tape them together, you make this paper chain. If you've ever done one maybe at your house that counts down towards Christmas, we've done similar things like that. This is like sort of like an Advent calendar this year, except for it's an Advent chain instead. And each day of Advent, you have an opportunity to either read something or ask a question or listen to something like one of the songs that we provide, or even something else, or do a simple activity. So read and ask and listen and do, and you'll repeat those over and over throughout Advent. So my first chain here is Sunday, December 1st, my first link in the chain, and you would just pull your chain link off, and then we'll read some scripture together. So this first one starts with Isaiah 2, 1 through 5, and you get to read some scripture together. So kids could make these chains. You could do it during kids worship. You could print these things out and cut them up and have kids make their own chains to take home, or you could send the resources home for kids to cut up and make their chains on their own. But this gives them, this is one of my favorite pieces of the whole thing, because it gives them an opportunity to engage with Advent daily. Every day they could keep coming back to the chain and seeing what the next piece is as they count down to Christmas. And they are reading lots of scripture through this. They're asking lots of really good questions. They're just engaging in the story throughout. They're getting to listen to songs, and they're getting to do things for others as well throughout. Like the very first do is Wednesday, December 4th. I've got it right here in my chain. Think of someone in your community who's been having a bit of a hard time. Send them a text message or a card that says something encouraging, and then it goes on to tell you how you could send an encouraging message. That's a very simple do, and it's a very Advent kind of do, right? And so we're encouraging everyone to use this part of the resource and get their families involved at home. Okay, so there's your paper chain for the take-home pieces. Also, as a part of this, because you've got those songs. We've got the first song about hope is called "Hope Is Here," and it gives a URL on the chain so they can go and listen to the song online. These URLs are made available to you when you download the children's ministry resource. So you get the videos and the songs in the download, but then you also get access to the URL so you can share that with your kids, with your families. Okay, Oh, and then there are these super cool coloring pages that go along with the story. There's 2 for each week, and you can decide how you want to use these. They can be something that you send home to let kids continue to engage with the story. The books are not super pricey by any means, and so you could pick up. I think it's I should know this. I think it's 5 books for $19.99. So if you want to send books home with your kids so they can continue to engage in the story, then you could do that as well. And then you can also send home these coloring pages so they can engage with the story that way. And there's 2 for each week, or you can use them as a part of what you're doing in family worship or as a part of what you're doing in children's worship. These are an extra supplemental resource that can just boost whatever it is you're doing with all of the pieces available to you each week. Okay, so the Children's Pastor resource is there and ready for you to download. The books are there and ready for you to pick up, and the adult books are out there as well and ready for you to get. And we are excited. We are looking forward to Advent coming up here in just a couple months and all of the opportunities that come with Advent. So thank you for tuning in. Let us know if you have any questions. If you come back and watch this later and ask questions, we'll answer those too. And we're looking forward to walking through the Advent season with you. See you soon.